Good evening and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. It's Thursday night. Time for another viewer's voice. Thanks everybody for joining us. Gab, I don't think I've given you enough credit for it. That is a banger of an intro that you got built for this show. That's just fantastic.
I'm trying to be careful here because we keep getting done for copyright on the tunes. We can't get done for the design because the design is done by a man in the chat most nights, and it's Jogee. You know, Mohammed Jogee.
Oh, Mohammed Jogee?
Yeah, he's the man that does our intros. He does all the video stuff. He then gives me brilliant intro music to go with it, and we play it once and we get copyright claimed because the music he's trying to use that they tell him is royalty free is not royalty free, so I have to go off and find something else. So the music is probably my doing, the graphics is most definitely his.
Well, that's good. Thankfully nobody watches this, so we haven't gotten a copyright strike on that song.
No, we're okay. We're okay. We've thousands of views on this show with that intro, and unless the copyright guy is on holidays for the last 3 months, I think we're absolutely fine.
All right, fantastic. And Conrad, making your debut on the viewer's voice. How are you?
Hold on. Is it your birthday?
No.
Okay.
Nah, don't believe the lies in the chat. That's more Red Steve online trolling. I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay. Go on, continue.
So yeah, Conrad, welcome on to Viewer's Voice. How have things been? Haven't heard you since you did your little hour-long chat with Gab there.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm doing all right. Just came back home from the gym and then realized that there was a pod happening. So I quickly showered, brushed myself up, and sat my butt down on the chair. Looking forward to the show, and hopefully we can have another nice chat about this and that.
Yeah, it's always a little bit better to do it coming off the back of a win. That is for sure. You don't want to be stuck in Chris and Kev's position doing post-match shows after dreadful performances. And Ron, how are things down stateside?
Pretty good. We just finally saw the sun after a week of nonstop rain, thanks to the remnants of a hurricane heading our way. So glad to be in the sunshine once again. Oh yeah, we won, so that also helped. Yeah, that makes things a lot better.
Is this the hurricane that was in Florida?
Yeah, it blew up this way, but by the time we got here, it was just a never-ending rainstorm. But
because whenever I see these things being in Ireland, I see people just lock up the houses and go, what'll be will be. You know, there's 4 foot of water outside the window, and like in Ireland, it's completely different. It's like, oh God, there's a massive storm coming. Nobody goes to work. Everybody has to make sure they've loads of bread. Bread is a massive thing here. Like, you have to have bread, whether on really good occasions or really bad occasions. And not that it's funny what happens in Florida and stuff like that, but when I see the reaction of the people that are probably used to it there, where you go, they're doing the right thing. They're just going, listen, you can't stop this. Just do it the best you can. Where in Ireland, we're like, we just try ignore it. Where we go, this isn't happening. Everyone just get in our house. It's not happening. We're not going to work. I remember a couple of years ago, and somebody will probably, if there's Irish people in the chat, they'll know, but there was a storm that came here and people were like, listen, this is going to be the worst ever, right? And they literally closed the country down and said, right, tomorrow, nobody leaves their house tomorrow. This is going to be so bad, right? And I swear to God, nobody went to work. And I reckon at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I could have went to play golf. That's how. And it was just, honestly, I could have went and got and played golf. And I was like, this country is fucking mad. And we just literally go, no, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. And everyone goes, blah, 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 blah. Well, it's all on. But the difference, the way the American do it is brilliant. So there you go.
Yeah, there's probably people who
yes, Stormophilia, says MC. That's it. Stormophilia. That's the one.
Yeah, you guys call a heat wave when it's 24, 25 degrees. So you got a
less than that.
Slightly lower tolerance.
21 degrees. 21 degrees here, and people are like, we're not going to work. Like, we're not going to work. like you can't buy a paddling pool anywhere. You can't get one for love nor money. You know, everyone's down buying, like the supermarkets immediately put up these shelves, loads of shelves in the cool food area with like barbecue specials, and it's like people are just buying shitloads of sausages and chicken, and oh yeah, like it's absolutely crazy. My favourite pastime is having a barbecue on the street while my neighbours look at me doing it. I like that. I like doing that.
And now I finally know why there's no Irish people in Northern Australia. I always wondered that. There's Scottish people, there's Americans, but I don't know a single Irish person that lives in far north Queensland.
You can't handle that. It's too hot. You know, 20 degrees here, and listen, that is just beautiful. You know,
that's sweater weather.
We get 5 days of good weather, 20 degrees ish. If we get a 5 in a row, it's considered a good summer, and people just talk about it for years afterwards. Like, that's how bad it is. But anyway, football.
Yeah, on to the football. I mean, 2-0 win against Rangers. Pretty decent performance from the Reds all around. Ron, I'll come to you first on this one. How'd you feel about Darwin Nunez's performance against Rangers?
I thought he was all right. I mean, he kept getting into really good positions. He trying to get in behind, making their keeper work, who looked to me like he was all of about 45 years old. I thought he might have been a
He's not far off
it. But I mean, he did work him. I thought the criticism that was going around of him after the game was a bit over the top. I didn't understand where that was coming from. I know he missed a chance or two, but you know, we got to keep in mind he hasn't really had a run of games, largely due to his fault. But you know, he's still learning his way, still getting used to the way we play, and I've been playing well, so that hasn't helped either. So I think, all things considered, I was pretty pleased with the performance.
Yeah, I think there was some obvious green shoots that we can take from it. I mean, obviously everybody would like if he was scoring at the rate of Erling Haaland. Conrad, do you see this sort of impact that he had on that game, kind of leading from the front? Do you see that continuing going forward?
I hope so. It's hard to say because, without trying to be disrespectful, it's still Rangers. I certainly hope he does it going forward. And if I think, will he do it? Yeah, I think he will. Just simply based on the fact that when we sign players, 9 out of 10 times they work out. And if we sign an expensive player, you better bet that they will work out, because we can't afford to have players on that money who don't work out. The only exception, of course, probably being Naby Keita. But I think he'll work out. I was one of the people who, when he was at Benfica last year's Champions League, ever since I think it was Ajax who he knocked out with that last minute goal, or whenever it was. I've always enjoyed watching him, and I mean, we saw it firsthand when he played against us. There's very few strikers that get past Alisson in one-on-ones. And not only did he get past Alisson in one-on-ones, he scored absolutely naughty goals against him. I couldn't believe it. So from that point, I was like, sign him. He'll be grand. And now he's here. He hasn't had a great start, obviously. Part of that is obviously his own fault, because he was being a bit of a tit in the Crystal Palace game. And now he needs to get going, basically, because we are unfortunately in a situation where we can't afford to bed him in slowly. He has to hit the ground running, and I think he will. I mean, yesterday's game was a great indication of what he can do. I mean, yeah, he didn't score, but I mean, even the short highlights, it's basically just a 2-minute compilation of him pinging balls at the net. So only the keeper always saved them. That's unfortunate, but he's hitting the target, and he just needs to get a little bit more clinical. I thought a few of the shots were a bit soft or straight at the keeper. He could have done better, but that'll come to him. Any striker that can hit the target often enough will improve, and he will be no exception to that.
Yeah. And Gav, like Conrad said, he's one of our big money signings. But when you look at him, the big money signings, Allison went straight into the team. Virgil went straight into the team. It's only when you get down to Fabinho and Naby Keita that they were kind of feathered in. Like, do you think Klopp's going to persist, or are we going to see a heavy dose of rotation going forward with our forwards? And what would you like to see?
It's a tricky one because we probably have three genuine options down the middle. Jota is working his way back. He's played a couple of games back for us now. He's gone away with Portugal, which I was delighted about because he needed those games. He was one of the players that needed those games in the international break. You've got Firmino, who's on a decent run of form in goals and assists at the minute, especially against Brighton last weekend. But look, Darwin Nunez, Conrad is right. Part of the progression for Darwin Nunez is halted because of Darwin Nunez. He misses games away at United. He misses. Does he miss Newcastle? Was it Newcastle at home? He missed as well. He misses three. But the thing is, we all talked about Darwin Nunez at the start of the season. And I thought he'd get 30 plus goals in all competitions for Liverpool. And listen, we're about 10 games into the season, 11 games into the season, whatever it is. There's plenty more games to be played. There's no lack of confidence or belief from him or the staff, by the looks of it, in his ability. The other night, I thought his movement was excellent. I thought it actually freed up other players around him as well, especially Salah and Diaz, who we get onto a little bit. But I thought his movement was excellent. Diagonal runs he was making, his pace. That one chance he gets where he's played through and he just strips two defenders like they're not there. Now he hits it early with his left foot and McGregor saves it. And McGregor makes some really good saves the other night. Like, let's be honest. He makes one from Jota that's just ridiculous. It's like, it's past him. I don't know how he gets his hand to it. But you know what? Darwin Nunez, I suppose the biggest, I'm not worried about his form or will he get goals. I think it's just, what way do we work this plan? Because you will want, Jota will want to play, Firmino will want to play, but Nunez has started the other night and he needs one to go in. He just needs one of those to go in. And in fairness, that one with his left foot is a good strike. The one from Henderson's ball, he takes it down and he tries to kind of dupe the keeper a bit by going high with it. Keeper gets a hand to it. Another one where he's putting the inside right channel, hits a first time, keeper gets his legs to it. There's a few where on another day, one or two or three of them go in. He needs one. I think if one goes in, I think he'll on a roll, because right now I'm not looking at him as a striker that's, no confidence, not interacting with the side, not making good runs, seems totally out of the loop as to what's going on. It's all kind of there, bar one hitting the net. And I think if one hits the net, I think you'll see quite a lot hit the net. And he has everything to be a Liverpool striker. There's no doubt about it. If you watch him the other night, bar some questionable finishing, some good goalkeeping, I thought it was a brilliant performance from him. I thought he held her up quite well. His first touch was quite good. He brought players into play at times. The runs he makes, he doesn't scuff many of his chances. They're all kind of well hit. On another day, like I said, it goes in. So I'm not worried about him at all. It's just a case of, do you go with him and stick with him until he gets that one and then he goes on a run? Or do you keep blooding him in because you have Jota and you have Firmino there? And that might be the way it goes, because I can't see Firmino being left out an awful lot if he's continuing to score like that. And Jota will get you goals. And we're playing a team at the weekend that Jota loves playing against. So there's different options, but that's what you want. But I think for the moment, whether he starts or comes on as a sub or whatever it might be, Darwin Nunez will score goals, and I believe if he gets one, I think he could go on a run and you'll see a lot of goals from him.
I like that positivity. Yeah, the one you're talking about where he had a chance to open his legs up, that reminded me of the Darwin that we saw against us last year for Benfica, where he just seemed to have power and pace with the ball at his feet, running at defenders, and that was, to me, that's green shoots, because again, the start to his Liverpool career, it looked like it was going pretty well with the Community Shield and the goal against Fulham, and then it all kind of went a bit pear-shaped. So, but another player who's been kind of carrying the water for the attack a fair bit has been Luis Diaz. Conrad, been impressive, hasn't he?
Well, he's certainly has become more and more impressive. Yeah. The only unfortunate part about it all is obviously our start has been so shaky that his form has sort of gone under the radar. But I think it's a huge positive, the fact that after every game, be it draw, defeat, or victory, we've never talked about Luis Diaz in any sort of negative way, which is something we can't say for any of the other players that have put their feet on the pitch for us so far this season. Every single one, barring Allison, maybe. So that's a good indication. The sentiment at the start of the season with Luis Diaz around the Liverpool fan base and probably within the club as well was he's taking Mane's spot on the left-hand side now. Mane's gone, so Luis Diaz is the guy who we go to on the left-hand side. And the output was obviously, I'm not going to say a problem, but it was certainly a talking point, that we could see that the ability and the desire and the hunger, that was all there, the energy as well, great. But he needs to score goals, he needs to get assists. Now, I was a bit of a moron and misplaced my notepad, so I'll just have to read it out a bit. So far in the Premier League, he's had 3 goals and 1 assist. And in the Champions League, 1 goal and 1 assist. So in a total of 10 games, he's had 6 goal involvements overall. If you count the non-assists or the pre-assists, you know what I'm talking about. He's always involved, and you could obviously he's only going to improve. I'm very happy with how he's gone so far. He's scored some important goals as well, barring maybe the Napoli one where we just got absolutely routed. So yeah, quite happy with it, and thank the lucky stars that FSG or the club and the coaches decided to bring the Luis Diaz deal forward, because if they didn't, he'd probably be wearing a Spurs shirt right now.
And we could have got Richarlison. Imagine how well that could have worked out here.
I don't want pigeons at our clubs.
Yeah. Just going back to the last one, the comment on the screen, Black Prince says in an interview, Nunez says he has some difficulty understanding Klopp's instructions due to a language barrier. I'd imagine that was probably an issue for Luis Diaz as well. He doesn't strike me as somebody that's fluent in, Germano-English or Scouse or anything like that. But it feels like we're building up a pretty good cadre of Spanish, Portuguese-speaking players that can rely on one another. And I think the link-up play that you saw between Jota, Diaz, and Darwin in the Rangers game was pretty exciting in terms of that. But for Luis Diaz, and Ron, I'll come to you on this. To me, the one downside I would say to him is I feel that some of his best performances so far this year have come in games that were already kind of lost causes. After we went down to 10 men against Crystal Palace, he upped his game massively. Once the game against Napoli was pretty much done and dusted in the second half, he really kind of came to the fore. Is that worrying for you, or is it just let the boy play?
It's not really that worrying. Mainly because I think it's just a matter of him getting a better understanding of what's needed of him, and when. He's got a 6-month head start on Nunez in terms of getting integrated in the team, but I don't think as of yet, his connection with Robinson, it is, it's at best it's been okay, but that's due to that. You can put that down to the team not working well, or just them not a language barrier, whatever you want. But it's not quite there yet. Hasn't really played a lot with Simicast, so that's to be expected. And then with I also think with whoever's playing up front, I think it's been a little bit of a struggle because he has this tendency to come inside a lot, which you expect, but he's quite tricky with what he does once he actually does come inside. You don't know if he's going to cut it back, try a flare, land a pass. So it's just a bit. I think the more he comes to grips with what's needed and when it's needed, I think he'll improve. But the one thing that you can always count on with Luis Diaz is that he's going to work his socks off every game, even even if that means stepping up his performance and actually, getting a goal or two. But the work, the putting in the shift is always there, and I really think it's just a matter of him getting a bit more game smart as to what's needed and when it's needed.
Yeah, I think that's the change of, not the having to take Mane's role, because I mean every player is different. So like we're never going to get a perfect like for like replacement for Mane, and they are big shoes to fill. And it's a pity that we didn't sign Darwin for that, because he's got monster feet. He'd fit him no problem. But just that interplay, like for so long, that left side was just nailed down. Whether it was Wijnaldum or Thiago over there with Robertson and Mane, and they knew each other's movements. And Luis Diaz, to me at least, seems like he plays a very different game from the game that Sadio Mane played. Like he really likes cutting inside and trying to open up that right foot shot. And like, Gab, do you think that's about to, like, are we turning the corner on that? Do you think that that our attack, both from the fullbacks and the midfield and the forwards, do you think it's starting to click now, and they're going to start, just instinctively knowing what the other person's movements are going to be? Because I mean, these are new, we got a pretty new attack built here, without even touching on formation. Just the players themselves are different from what we've had in the past, and there's going to be growing pains, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a thing on the language barrier, and Kayet says people take these quotes and make a mountain out of a molehill. He went on to say that he has others in the team that translate the coach's message to him, and some people have pointed out as well, there's a lot of Portuguese speakers within the squad. Which, look, you can go to work and not understand what your boss is saying, but his mate that's working with him will tell you what's going on. Like it's not a massive issue. With regards to Diaz, though, he's probably the player I've enjoyed watching this season at Liverpool. I think we've been in a bad spot this season. I think Alisson has been brilliant, and I think everyone else has been bang average, bar for some chinks of light at different times for individuals. But Diaz for me is always someone that, like Ron says, absolutely works and works and works. He was kind of the spark. He was the one little spark, or the one little shining light, I suppose, from the start of the season, where when he gets it, you still think he's working really hard. I think a lot of people have said, like, and Kev has said this quite a lot, he needs to be more direct. And what Kev means by that is, he loves getting the ball and he'll go at you and he'll come inside and that, but what Kev is talking about is just running straight at you, not trying to go around you on the inside, running just straight at you and using his feet to go by you and commit you, and we seen that a little bit the other night. Listen, it was Rangers the other night, and Rangers are poor, and I'm not going to tell you that all Liverpool's problems are solved because we won on Tuesday night, but some of the signs that were there in what we were doing were good. The intensity was there, the passing was an awful lot better, and I think that freed up the likes of Diaz. I think it freed him up to commit more people. He didn't seem as worried, because yourself, when you have a team that aren't defending well or are getting played through midfield, the attacking players, although they are attackers, in the back of their mind, going back years ago, and even last season, the season before, whatever it might be, Liverpool forwards used to do things off the cuff because they knew we're rock solid there. We'll get the ball, we'll have another chance in the next 60 seconds, it'll be fine. Whereas at the moment, it's a bit more tentative and trying to make sure of stuff. And Diaz was probably the only one that had a little bit of confidence in what he was doing, and I love him as a player. I think he's come in. I think people thought he wouldn't. How will he be physically? He gets kicked up and down in one of his first games, and he just keeps popping up off the deck and playing. I think, can he get more goals? Yeah, but I think, sorry, as Kev has said and others have said, if he's a bit more direct and gets into a bit better positions, his decision making is a bit better, he will get more goals, he will get more assists. But that's not bad for the season we've had. Far 6 goal involvements since the start of the season is quite good considering how we've been. But I really like it.
Could have been more, by the way.
Yeah,
he hit the bar like 3 times already this season, like the one against Newcastle, and against Everton. He's I bet the goalpost is still rattling. So
yeah,
could
he
have
hits,
even been more.
Yeah, and he hits doesn't he hit the post against Fulham as well on the opening day?
Oh yeah, he does. True.
Yeah, he does.
So he's had good impact. I think it could have gone a little bit better for him. Sometimes luck, sometimes decision making. But let's be honest about it. If Liverpool go out and their passing is a bit crisper and they're a little bit more intense and that press is a little bit better, one of the players that I think will take massive confidence from that is Luis Diaz. He will benefit. Him and Salah probably, because they just get more of the ball and they're going to be against a defence that are a little bit panicked, a little bit out of shape, and they can hurt people. And then the likes of Jota, Nunez, Firmino can benefit off the back of that as well. But Matt, for me, so far, he's been, I probably think, our second best player this season behind Alisson. And you know what? It's good signs. I think the 6 months he had playing in the side with Mane inside him, and Mane probably letting him know what's needed out on the left has helped. And you know what? He's a young lad, a new country, 6 months into the job. I hope he kicks on now, and I think a couple of goals here or there in the next couple of games, or over the next, between now and the World Cup, if he gets a good few goals, I think it'll stand him up really well, because he hasn't done much wrong, in fairness to him.
Yeah, that's the being more direct, like, you know, Kev's point. That takes me back to the first 3 games of the year. In our first 3 games of the season, he had his defending fullback on a yellow card in the first half an hour, and never seemed to get the ball. Like, and just go at him. Go at him. Make him make that decision. You know, Kenny Tete, I don't even know who the hell was there for United. Nathaniel Klein, like, these are not world-class fullbacks, and you've got him on an early yellow card. Like, just go, man. Just try it. Like, it seems like he has a few issues there working out. You know, like, there's a problem in front of him, and he's having a tough time getting his brain into problem-solving mode. And now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. It can be tough to train your brain to stay in problem-solving mode when faced with challenges in life. But when you learn to find your own solutions, there is no better feeling. A therapist can help you become a better problem solver, making it easier to accomplish your goals, no matter how big or small. The world has never been more accepting of people caring for their mental health. If you're thinking about giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's convenient, affordable, accessible, and completely online. Online doesn't matter if you live in the country or in a small town that may not have a local therapist. With BetterHelp, you can get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey, and you can switch therapists at any time. When you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/daytrippers today to get 10% off your first month. That's BETTERHELP.com/daytrippers. And then once you've solved that problem, you can enjoy Champions League Soccer streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is your favorite ad.
It was 9 months of heart-stopping, hold-your-breath exhilaration, but it's now down to 8 months. The biggest stars, the top teams, and kooky craziest fan bases from all across Europe. We're halfway through the group stage now, so get in while you still can and see Benzema and Real Madrid defend their title against Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, PSG, Barcelona, and more in soccer's biggest club competition. So don't miss a single sweat-soaked soccer second of soccer time, regulation, stoppage, or extra time, and stream every match of the UEFA Champions League live exclusively on Paramount Plus.
Oh, man.
And if you don't want to get Paramount Plus and you lurk in some of the darker corners of the internet, perhaps you don't know, but browsing in incognito mode doesn't actually protect your privacy online. That's right. Without added security, you might as well give away all your private data to hackers, advertisers, your ISP, and other prying eyes. IPVanish is a VPN. I know. Shocking news. IPVanish is a VPN. It allows you to stay truly private and secure on the internet. It encrypts 100% of your data. That's your private details, your passwords, your emails, your browsing history. It'll be shielded from falling into the wrong hands. Even your physical location will be hidden. It makes you virtually invisible online. You can use IPVanish on unlimited devices without sacrificing on speed, computers, tablets, phones, even devices like your Fire Stick when you're streaming media. IPVanish is offering an incredible 70% off their yearly plan for our listeners with a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's like getting 9 months for free. It's super easy to use. All you have to do is tap one button and you're instantly protected. You won't even know it's on. Stop sharing with the world everything you stream, everything you search for, and everything you buy. Take your privacy back today with the brand rated 4.6 out of 5 on Trustpilot and 4.65 out of 5 on Plunkpilot, because Keith rates it quite highly. Go to ipvanish.com/daytrippers and claim your 70% savings. That's ipvanish.com/daytrippers. Done. Bills paid for another day. And now the part that I've been looking the most forward to. Yeah. change the system for the Rangers game. It was exactly what a lot of people have been calling for, especially on this channel. Like, people just wanting to see something a little bit different. We got to see that coming out with the 4-2-4 or 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, however you want to go for it. And now the question becomes, it worked, but was that just something that we can do against a pretty low-end team like Rangers, or will we persist with that? So that's the big question. Boss man, what do you think, Gav? Do we stick with it?
I don't know if he does. I really don't know if he does. The way we played the other night, Henderson comes a bit deeper and goes in there with Thiago. And it made us a bit more solid. I think when you look up the average positions for the other night, I think Trent is he's literally not alongside the centre halves, but he's not too far ahead of them. Where he's usually over the halfway line and on an inside right kind of channel. He was kind of like a fullback. Simicast was the one that went forward a little bit more, and I think that was the design on that wasn't just to, just stop Trent from attacking. I think it was more a case of, if we go forward in certain ways, we only have to cover one side. Because we've seen Liverpool so many times where Trent is on the ball, he's 35 yards from goal, and Andy Robertson standing on the back post looking for a header. And we trust the likes of whoever it might be, whether it be Fabinho, Henderson, going back to Wijnaldum, Thiago, whatever it might be, that when the ball comes out, we'll win it. And if they manage to get it past the midfield, you had Van Dijk and Matip or whoever it might be there, and they'd mop it back up. And the chances are Andy Robertson be back in position anyway. But what you seen the other night was where Trent, although still playing really well, was just in a bit more of a... He was just pulled back a little bit. And he can still affect the game from back there. Not so... And I'm not saying he never went forward, but the average position seemed to be, look, you're not going to be up in their box all the time. Just bring it back a little bit. We'll make it safe. And we only have... Then they only have to really concentrate on, are we getting overloaded on the left-hand side? And with two guys sitting there in front of the back four, they can both shift in that direction. Whereas when you had three, although it's more numbers in midfield, the guy on the right-hand side is always looking behind him to say, right, am I covering for Trent here? The guy in the middle wants to protect the centre halves so no balls can get in to forwards. So you were always left with one out there looking after that left-hand side. But they kind of shifted really well the other night. Against Arsenal, though, Ben White has been quite good for them. But he doesn't get massively forward. Zinchenko or Tierney, whoever plays, that's the person that looks to get forward a little bit more for me. And in midfield, I think they have Odegaard, they have Partey, and they have Xhaka. And Partey and Xhaka do a very similar job to what you would have seen Thiago and Henderson do the other night, which is try control the game, try pick things up, then get it into the likes of... They try get it into the likes of Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, and then Jesus is just all over the place as well. So I don't know if he keeps at it or if he sticks with it. He's going to match up Arsenal, because that's where Arsenal play. Arsenal play 4, they play 2, they play 3, they play 1. And that's what Liverpool could come out and play. I'm not too overly concerned, Matt, by this formation thing. I completely get it. I think they could play 4-3-3. And if you restrict one fullback slightly, you can do the same job. I think they could do the same job. I think I don't know. It's the very straightforward answer. But I would like to see him, maybe not the same personnel, but I would like to see him stick to what he done the other night, because I think it freed up players, and I think it gave a more defined role to the two in front of the defenders, and it allowed them, funny enough, Van Dijk and Matip to be a lot more aggressive. I thought the other night. They weren't backing. The way they usually back off a little bit, and then they'll kind of wait and try to hold that line. They were just on top of players as quick as they could. Maybe because they thought they get a touch. There's two guys absolutely buzzing about here that are looking to get it. So I'd like to look. It worked the other night, so why not stick with it? I suppose. Why not stick with it? Have a go with it. It mightn't be the same personnel. Fabinho might come back in there. He might do Fabinho, Thiago. But then what does he do? Does he play Henderson ahead of that? I'm not too sure. Does he play the 4 again? He could do. But there's plenty of options there. But come Sunday, it doesn't matter what you play on Sunday, you must apply yourself. And I thought Liverpool applied themselves an awful lot better the other night. And I know it's Rangers, and I know it's a weird one to try make sense of, because I thought Rangers were really poor. But I thought, forgetting who the opposition was, just Liverpool's intensity and how they looked to get on top of the game and put Liverpool's game on top of the opposition, I thought was a lot better the other night. And that's been one of the biggest standout things for me this season, Matt, is that we haven't done that enough.
Yeah, well, without a doubt. I mean, I will pull you up on certainly the last Arsenal game, like the North London derby. Granit Xhaka was not playing as part of as a double pivot. He was getting forward so often and so far.
Yeah,
so,
but watch when they don't have it. You see what Arsenal do is that they have Partey and Xhaka there, right? And they've Odegaard in front, and they've Saka and they've Martinelli, right? And Jesus is their out and out striker, right? And what happens is that Odegaard tries to pick up space, right? And when he picks up space, Xhaka is the one that moves in. So it actually goes from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-1-4-1, really, when they get it. Xhaka is the man that's told, because he's a really good left foot, he's actually a really good footballer, he's just a bit of an idiot. But watch when Odegaard gets it, left hand side or right hand side or wherever he picks up that space, Xhaka is the one that moves in and says, right, okay, Martinelli, Saka either side, and I'm moving in here to make this basically a 4-man advanced midfield. That's what Xhaka does. But watch when they lose it. He gets back in beside Partey, and they get Odegaard that, they take turns shifting, but he's always beside Partey for me.
Yeah, it just goes to, because hearing people talk about post game breakdowns of our formation change, going, well, can we do that? We're going to get overloaded in the midfield, and it's like, I don't know, Arsenal might be a perfect opponent to continue with this system, because they don't play with a 3 in the midfield like you expect a lot of teams, or 4 in the midfield. Like, they're very advanced and going forward. But Ron, do you see Klopp going with 4 forwards? Because, I mean, to me, it seems like it's pretty hard to not have a front 4 of Salah, Diaz, Jota, and Bobby Firmino, because, I mean, the wingers are on form, and those 2 forwards, they like a goal against Arsenal.
I'd like to see it. Not only do the wingers like a game against Arsenal, we all, like as mentioned earlier, Jota likes the game against Arsenal. But let's not forget, Bobby quite likes Arsenal as well. So I think while he's on form, and while we're got a little bit of a head of steam, I think you stick with it. Like Gav said, I do think having the 2 midfielders sit in made things a little bit more solid because they were well defined. Also, with the center backs being more aggressive. I mean, there was one point on Tuesday night, Virgil was doing his best Joel Matip impression. He went on a amazing run. Didn't finish with a shot, but he went on quite the run. But I think we stick with it. It's a formation I've been wanting us to see, start a game with for quite some time. Not having it just as an option to kind of mix it up in game. I think given the form and the legs in the midfield at this point, I think it's well suited to us. So I hope we do stick with it. I think Arsenal. Let's have it right. Arsenal are in a good vein of form. They've done well with what's in front of them, but they really haven't done a whole lot. They haven't really played. They haven't been tested too hard. So I think it's a good game for us to sort of get our confidence back up, and keep the run going. I hope we take that outlook on it.
That's I agree. I mean, I think I'm optimistic at the worst of times. So I really liked seeing the formation change, and I thought it solidified us all across the field. Conrad, do you see us continuing with this new formation, or do we revert to type and go back to Fabinho, Thiago Henderson in a 4-3-3?
Well, to come back to the question if the 4-2-4 works against big teams, I think the last time we fielded that formation was 2 years ago against Manchester City, right? If I'm not wrong. Yeah. We played them 2 years ago. Worked quite well against them. It was a good formation, so it does work against big teams. Whether we'll use that formation against Arsenal on the weekend, I'm not so sure. I'm not a tactical expert. I agree with what you guys have said about how Arsenal set up and how we could set up, but the only issue I see with if we persist with that formation is the fact that in the past we've seen the manager do these sort of break glass moves like a 4-2-4. I think when we used that formation against City the last time around, we were a bit of a weird spell as well, and we used that formation once and then never again. So that makes me think we might not see it. And Klopp has sort of this, not that it's a negative thing, but he has sort of this Wenger-esque sort of attitude when it comes to changing things up or doing something in a certain way, where in the face of even extreme adversity, be it from the media, opposition teams, or even within the club, he likes to keep the same thing going that he has. Which for me is another thing that would speak a little bit against keeping the 4-2-4 on the weekend. But I'm open to be surprised. I'd like to see it happen because the way I look at it is we're going to get beaten in midfield either way, just because of the options or the coming back options we do have now. Good, but some of them are still coming back from injuries. Some of them are in bad form still, even though we beat Rangers. So sort of my attitude going into the game is if we're going to get beaten, hopefully not, no. If we're going to get beaten in midfield, we might as well get beaten in midfield with having two players and have more attackers who love to score against Arsenal. So I think we're better off if we just try the 4-2-4 because it's been mentioned before. If we can say that something's not working or can see it, then Mikel Arteta can see it and their analysts can see it. So it's not a good idea to go into the weekend with the exact same setup and game plan that we went in against Brighton, Fulham, Newcastle, Palace, take your pick. So I'd like to see it, but I sort of have this feeling that we might not because it's just break glass. Even when we have weird spells, we never sort of stick with the change for long enough. That's what we usually do in pre-season. We try something out and then persist with it for the season to come. It's very rare that I've seen the manager change anything long-term within this season. He doesn't like it, so yeah.
I think just looking forward to the game, and I know the lads are going to do a proper preview on it tomorrow night, but, for me, the biggest thing this season hasn't been what we're doing going forward. It's what we're allowing other teams to do to us. And, look, we've all spoken about how we're played through midfield, and, but I think when it comes to Sunday, regardless of what way he goes in, what formation he goes in, you look at Martinelli. I've watched a bit of Arsenal because I like watching Arsenal. I always have liked watching Arsenal. And I just don't like that manager. I think I just don't like him. Give him credit, don't get me wrong, but I just don't like him. And what I've seen from Arsenal is, and especially that Spurs game, they gave Spurs the ball. And they said to Spurs, you have it. But when you get to a certain point, we're going to absolutely be all over you. And they got all over Spurs. And Spurs couldn't settle and just couldn't get going. And Arsenal picked them off, the sort of way. What Liverpool need to do on Sunday is Liverpool need to identify where they need to stop. One, they need to stop. It's Saka and Martinelli for me. And that's an obvious thing to say about the wide men. But Saka, they have a really good way of isolating Saka against fullbacks. And what they do is they will have her on the left-hand side of the pitch. And they'll play it around and they'll try drag everything that side of the pitch, and then they hit Zinchenko does a bit, and sometimes the midfielders where they hit raking passes across the Saka where he can get one-on-one with a fullback, and he usually has some joy because A, he's always going inside and no one seems to stop him, and B, the opposition winger is too far up the pitch to get back and try help out. Martinelli's a bit more direct. He likes to run at you. You go inside you, you go outside you. He's really buzzes all about the place. And I think regardless of what we go in with, we need to turn around. We need to say to ourselves, listen, we can hurt this. There's no doubt about it. Liverpool can go and win over Arsenal. No problem. There's no problem. Liverpool can go and win there, right? And we can hurt them. I think Nunez. If Nunez starts up front, you look at him and you think to yourself, I think Gabriel and the other guy's name's completely Saliba have been really good. But I look at Diaz and I say to myself, he can get at Ben White. Salah most definitely can get at Tierney or Zinchenko. And if Jota plays behind all that, Jota they'll be shit scared of Jota because Jota scores a lot of goals against them. And Partey and Xhaka will be looking going, well, hold on. One of us are going to have to watch this fella because this fella wants to get in the box. This fella wants to hurt you. And that means that you're matching up then with Partey and Odegaard against Thiago and Fabinho or Thiago and Henderson, whoever it might be. So Liverpool have got tools to hurt Arsenal and can quite, not easily, but, can go and win at Arsenal. We've done it. Like, we've beaten everyone in this fucking league. We're in a bad run of form. But I think Liverpool need to come out, and I don't want to see them just go into their shell and go, listen, we have to stop Arsenal. But I think if they're drilled and they say to themselves, right, we're going to push them into the centre of the park, or if it goes wide, we have to make sure that we're closing off little passing lanes and frustrate them a little bit, because Arsenal, I think, are going to do the same this Sunday. They're going to ask Liverpool to take the ball, and then what they're going to do is they're going to get away from a game of football in the middle of midfield. They're just going to try win it and hurt you. And if Liverpool can just get that right, I think we have the power to hurt them going forward. And I could be wrong. We could lose fucking 4-1, but we could win 4-1. Because somebody says there, and said it going back a few minutes ago, it was Wade Nelson said, we've had the same test as Arsenal this season, really. We've just had some draws. They've got a couple of wins. They've come from behind against Fulham. They've come from behind to win a couple of games. And fair play to them. They're showing a bit of steel that they haven't shown in probably 10 years. But people have got at Arsenal. They've really... I watched them away at Palace. Was it the first night of the season? And Palace could have had 2 or 3. I think wasn't it the first game of the season for Friday?
Yeah, it was the first game.
I watched that game and I thought they could have got at them. Fulham get at them. United get at them. Teams get at them, and it's all about taking your chances. And if Liverpool can take 1 or 2 and just be a little bit more drilled and apply themselves, I'm kind of it's a bit weird to me that we're all kind of going and absolutely dreading Arsenal away. We could get hurt, but at the same time we could hurt them. I think it's one of those games, but I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it feels like a pretty big signpost in the season. Like, if we can turn it around and we can put a good performance up against top of the table flying Arsenal at the Emirates, that's a pretty good sign that maybe our season isn't a total write-off, and that a lot of the Chicken Little sky is falling stuff from a couple weeks ago was a little premature. But at the same time, if we go and get fucking Napoli'd, then maybe we all need to do a little bit more soul searching. But it was if we go and get beaten heavily on Sunday, right? If we go and get beaten heavily on Sunday, we all need to turn around, right, and forget all the fucking arguments and whatever your opinions on signing or didn't sign. We just have to take our licks and say, you know what, this season is just going to be like that. That's the end of it. And we're just going to have to take it. We're going to have to ride with it, and wherever we end up, we end up. And it'll be up to the club, the manager, the players to react in the right way. But I just always look forward to them. It's going to Arsenal and playing these big games. I think we've got, like, our last 4 or 5 games against Arsenal, the aggregate scoreline is 11-0 or something like that. Like, they haven't scored against us in the last few games we played them. So, like, yeah, okay, history is history and current form is current form. But, like, I'm certainly not dreading playing against Arsenal as much as I was after, the Brighton or the Napoli display, of thinking like, oh God, when we have to play a decent team, we're going to get torn to pieces. But like, the one thing that you pointed out about the formation gap was just the not handcuffing is the wrong word, but just limiting Trent going forward that much and kind of being a little bit more of a 3 in defense. That could almost work as well too with the 4-3-3, I think. Of just not making, like, telling Trent to not be so gung-ho and cavalier with going forward and being caught up the field. Like, if we find that we're losing the game in the midfield, just stay back that little bit. And that's what he did against Rangers. And I thought, like, I saw it within the first 20 minutes or so. It was like, holy shit, it looks like they're playing a back 3 here. Because Virgil was way left, Tsimikas was way forward, Joel was in the middle, and Trent was in our half when we had the ball in possession. Like, when you don't ever see that. Like, when we have the ball, Trent's gone. And he was obviously under instructions to stay back and restrict the amount of space that every team has been finding in that spot. But I think you could still use that tactic even if you played Fabinho, Henderson, and Thiago in the midfield.
But that's why I think if he goes with that system where he plays too deep, that's why I think Jota has to play. You know, there's no point in going in there and saying, right, I'm putting Fabinho and Thiago in there and I'm putting Henderson ahead of him. Pointless. That's why Jota has to play, because, right, we can all talk about Trent being a bit deeper and, but he brings so much going forward. He absolutely does. But you have to, again, look at the flip side of who they have. And Arsenal will be more than happy for Trent to be miles up the pitch and them to press and win it and then look for Jesus in that channel or Martinelli breaking that channel, and then they can go from there. If Trent stays back a little bit just to be on the safe side, but we occupy them with the right players further on, i.e. Jota playing as that third man in midfield, we occupy them enough. It gives them more to think about and it makes it harder for them to get out. Plus it makes it harder for them to hit these channels that they're going to love going into. You know, I'm actually going towards staying with that system, that's being honest.
Yeah, and the playbook's kind of out. You know, I think having Trent stay back a little bit makes a lot of sense, especially because, you know, teams have just decided that they're going to target that side. And if we have him stay back a little bit, like you're saying, even if it's in a 4-3-3, basically you're telling them, yeah, your plan A is not going to work. So you're going to have to figure out another way to beat us. I always think that's a good idea to kind of have an idea, be self-aware enough to know, like, all right, this is where everybody thinks we're weakest. This is where they're targeting us. Let's mitigate that, and then make them figure out another way to beat us. Make ourselves difficult to beat. Why not?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm fully recharged in my optimism after that game. It just showed a total difference in attitude. Like you said it with the aggressiveness of the defenders. To me, that's a huge sign, because it's something that happened in the Ajax game after Thiago came on and our press started working a little bit better, was that when they have the ball and we're pressing from the front and the ball gets put over the top, Matip and Van Dijk were right there. They were right on that ball. They were winning that first header, and through the entire game against Rangers. And like, Morelos is not a chump, you know, he's a pretty decent striker. He knows how to be a nuisance and stuff like that. And he was invisible in that game, because anytime that ball went up into the air or even came into feet to any of their players, Ryan Kent did nothing in that game, because every time they got the ball, those two center halves were out there like bullets and shutting them down immediately. And it just, to me, that shows that the confidence is there, that Virgil and Joel know that the press that's happening in front of them is happening properly, and that they don't have to second guess themselves because the system's working properly. And I agree. I think a lot of it has to do with Diogo Jota. He's an incredible presser from the front, you know, as well as being a good goal scorer.
But even in that position, you don't need to look at Darwin Nunez to get the ball into feet. You can ask Jota to be advanced a bit, and you take it into feet. You take it into feet, and you get it to the fullbacks, or you get it to Salah and Diaz, and then you still have a guy further ahead of you that wants the ball in the box, or he wants, you know, Darwin Nunez is a good finisher. It's just the other night it looked like he was just trying to get a goal. You know, just get it in the fucking goal anyway, and we go from there. But I think, like I said at the very start, if he scores one, I think you'll start seeing placing stuff under goalkeepers, chipping keepers. It'll all come together then. You know what I mean? And I just think, for me, you go in there on Sunday and look, we keep saying it was only Rangers, but we've spoken all season. Loads of people have spoken all season about outran, outfought, right? Liverpool weren't outran the other night, right? They weren't outfought the other night, because they went in and they went bang, bang, bang. They kept hitting players, and you can only play what's in front of you. But that was probably the easiest game not to apply ourselves, because you're on a much different level to Rangers overall. You feel you could have went down there and played at 80% and won the game. But because of the circumstances around it, Liverpool couldn't. Liverpool had to come out and go, right, we have to be absolutely on top of this to make up for the weekend and to put ourselves in a decent position in this group. And right, passes might have went astray, finishes mightn't have been there, but overall we worked so hard. We were aggressive. We outran them. We outfought them. You know, even stuff like the ball breaking and Salah just bouncing off one of their players and taking it and running up the pitch with it. Even small things like that, where you go, you know what, that's just aggression. That the aggression is back where, oh, that's my ball and I'm gone, and you're having.
We look like Liverpool.
Yeah, a little bit. And I'm not saying that we've completely turned the corner and we're clicking on this, but it was just signs there for me the other night that, okay, you can point at passes or shots or the opposition or whatever it might be, but overall I was looking for, and I keep saying it, application, and the application was there for me, coupled with the fact that we changed, because Ashley says there, the Trent said in the post-match, a compact defence was what they'd been looking for, and had been working on all week. So, yeah, looked a lot more compact, but just the application for me was one thing that really stood out for me.
Yeah, it's I think it bodes well, but I mean, it's a big test coming up on Sunday, so I think we can leave it there. Just before we head out, I just want to ask everybody to smash that like button. Hit that like button, guys. Hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and all that good stuff. We lost the reclaimer earlier on, so we're going to have somebody else stepping in for him here to get back on the like train. And also Bobby's Wish to Walk, which is the charity partner for us currently. It's currently sitting at 147,142. So that's 2,300 euros to go. That is tantalizingly close. So he's almost there. Fantastic work to everybody. Again, donate if you can. And if you can't, throw it into your social medias and share it around. You never know who might have a few extra dollars, euros, or pounds that they're willing to part with at this season on giving. So you never know. Ron, anything else before we go?
No. Looking forward to Sunday, and just ready to see how that's going to pan out, because I hope we wipe them. They're about due for it. So let's get it done.
Yeah, everybody's been giving Mikel Arteta all too much credit lately, so it'd be nice to see him brought back down to earth.
Well, he's already won Manager of the Year as far as everybody else is concerned so far.
Oh, well, there you go. So it's nobody that's ever won Manager of the Month has ever lost their job immediately afterwards. Nuno Espirito Santo. And Conrad, pretty good.
Year was Lampard for keeping Everton up.
No, he got it this season for having a great defensive record in the first 7 games of the season. That's what he'll get it for this season.
Oh, yeah, he'll just get 2 in a row then, I guess. Yeah.
Liz Truss will make the presentation to him, which would be great.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good having you on for the first time, Conrad. You got anything before we get out of here?
I share Ron's sentiment that I hope that we beat Arsenal on the weekend, because if we get peppered by them, I'll probably nosedive out of my window. So yeah, let's hope that we win. Because I don't want to do that.
BetterHelp is our one of our sponsors. So,
yeah, that's true.
Butterhelp.com.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and please donate to Bobby's Wish to Walk. In these uncertain times, it's difficult for an adult to live, and you can only imagine how bad it is for a child to have these problems in these sort of times. So whatever money you can spare, please donate. We're so close.
Absolutely. And Gav, what do we got coming up for the rest of the week? A preview show tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Friday, isn't it? Yeah. Premier League forecast tomorrow. So the lads will be looking at 4 games on the weekend, Liverpool and Arsenal being one of them. They will look at Air Fantasy League, fantasy football, see who's on top in that. I'm starting to lose interest in a big way, because
how bad is that?
I just keep forgetting to do it. And then I kind of do transfers and I kind of go, and then I'm not really bothered. And then I think, do you know what actually puts me off? All these fucking bench boosts and triple captains and stuff like that. Just put your team in.
Just use them immediately, and you don't have to worry about it.
I might just try to use them all now in the next week or 2 and be done with it. But yeah, so that's tomorrow night. So that would be really good if you want a preview of all the games over the weekend and you want to look up the fancy football. So
they got an Arsenal fan coming on too, don't they?
Yes,
tomorrow?
Yes, they've an Arsenal fan on tomorrow. And they do look up our top 10 in their league, and they look up the top 10 players of last week as well to give you a heads up on what you should do in your fancy football. Sunday there's 2 shows. There's going to be an immediate match reaction after Arsenal v Liverpool, and the Fatback 4 will be on Sunday night. Me and Keith Sunday night. Shawnee's away, Emmett's away, So we'll bring 2 people in there to help me and Keith. Or me and Keith might just do it on our own. You never know. There's enough cans around, me and Keith will do it on our own. So that is the rest of the week. Now, I've been mad busy this week, so the cop update has been not out this week. I'm trying my best to do this on a daily basis, but there'll just be so much going on here that it's just sometimes it's impossible, you know. But I will try and sort something out. Red Steve wants to know when I'm doing one tomorrow. I'll try my absolute best to do one tomorrow where we try predict the team for Arsenal. We'll try predict scores and we'll have a bit of a laugh. And I'll try to do it at 11 o'clock in the morning. If not, I'll try to do it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we'll see how it goes. That's about it. Hit the like button, subscribe, share. I've been given out to by viewers and mates for not having the super chats and all that open. They're all open now. You can like, subscribe, and whatever, but they're all open, and we're under instruction to ask you to like and subscribe because not enough people are watching.
Like button.
Yeah,
smash
so
that's
about it. That's about it.
Yeah. And it was in fact my birthday. So
I know. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Now,
birthday,
if Keith was here, he would have played Happy Birthday on the tin whistle.
On the what?
Yeah, he plays the tin whistle. I'm going to get Keith to play Happy Birthday to you on the tin whistle on Sunday night.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yep.
That would be great.
It's going to make my whole...
There we go.
It's going to just charge me right up to have a big Thanksgiving dinner.
Exactly. Right.
All right. Well, that's enough for us. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Hit the like button on your way out if you haven't already. Donate to Bobby's Wish to Walk, and we'll see you guys all again next Thursday on The Viewer's Voice. This has been the LFC Daytrippers. Adios.